Happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna be okay. You know what? Um, I'm still shaken. I'm still having my moments, but God did the most amazing things yesterday, today, but just nonstop. After last week of just straight crying every day, every day, every day, but like not really like getting the full effect until a couple nights ago, and that massive just breakdown like afterwards. I had gone almost a whole week with no food, barely any water. I would be like, oh yeah, I'm really thirsty, and no sleep. I was sleeping like in little increments, but my body, it was just like, because it was taking the toll on me to purge, and by yesterday, I think I had to go to Manhattan for 2 appointments because I'm having surgery like in a week or something. And so I had to get my stuff done. And I felt like, oh, it was just so raw when I went, and I had to take the train over because I'm not driving over there. And just everything, I felt like a brand new creation, like a newborn baby. It was so wild. And uh, God did so many things yesterday just to show me like what he's like. I know it's just the beginning, but like, one of the things I was really grieving also was like the loss of connection with the Lord that I've had, especially like in the last 2 years, because I feel like all this stuff I should have probably dealt with 2 years ago, but I still wasn't quite ready. And so in the past 2 years, I've just gone to my complete total hopelessness, like that this would never be fixed. I would never be fixed. And anyway, so I had lost hope that God would ever fulfill his promise, honest to God. And that shames me because I believe God. I've stood on those promises for years, and the dream he gave me about the healing, about the houses, that was over 10 years ago that he gave me those dreams. And so I've been waiting so long that I never even put two and two together that the ghost was him. I never even, until I was literally saying it. I was going to talk about that dream for a whole nother reason. And as soon as I said it, I knew God just, and it all made sense after that. But, it's crazy how like after the fact, God, he just gives you the revelation and the interpretation, and some things you have to wait years for. You just have to be patient and follow him and trust him. And literally we can get to the place of hopelessness and just I don't even remember what I'm waiting for anymore. It seems like a far away fantasy. But I tell you what, yesterday I got up and I was like, I'd been crying nonstop for days and days and days. And so I had 2 appointments. I had to take the train, and so I got my life together a little bit, got dressed, and you know I go hit the McDonald's, get my hot tea, like I have a little morning routine. I do, hit the gym, do my stuff, and everywhere I went and everything I did, I kept reaching, and I'm like, oh, I'm forgetting something's missing. And I never do this because I remember everything usually. There's that off chance that I'll forget something, but immediately I'm like, oh, something's wrong, I gotta get it. And there's always something missing when I think that, but not yesterday. Yesterday was so different. Yesterday I did this all day long. I would be like, oh gosh, something's missing, and I would reach, and then I'd be like, no, I have everything I need. And then it hit me like last night. It was like, oh, I'm not carrying some things anymore that used to walk around with me, and it feels like something's missing. Do you know what I mean? But I was so happy when I had that like epiphany, and it was just beautiful because yeah, something is missing. And yeah, that's sad, but also I have been praying for that for so long. And just that feeling of like I'm forgetting something, but I'm not. No, it's okay, like just wild. And that was like the first when I just noticed that yesterday evening, how many times it happened in one day, because that never happens to me. Because if I think I forget, I have to remember everything, especially living small, because you gotta, just, you have to know where everything is. You have to, you have to be just very careful, very vigilant when you live in your car. And so anyway, that was the first thing. I mean, that was one of the huge things that I noticed yesterday. It was beautiful. But I got on the train to go into the city for my appointment, and I saw the most beautiful thing that I've ever seen. And oh, it was so beautiful. So we got on the train from Brooklyn to Manhattan, and this it was a full train. It was early in the morning. I mean, I went early, so it was the full train going over because everybody's going to work. And so this older, like I would say probably in her 70s, like older black lady gets on the train, and she's standing there, and as soon as she walks on, like I'm sitting across, and so I can see her walk on, and she's just standing there holding the pole, and I can hear her humming, and it caught my, it was beautiful. And I looked up, and everybody's on their cell phone. Everybody's just, on their way to work, and that's it. And she starts humming, and I can hear getting louder, and then she starts singing, and she's singing "How Great Is Our God." And I was like, oh, that's beautiful. And I'm sitting there feeling like all raw anyway, just like, and I wasn't on my phone because I was just watching everybody. I was just looking. Almost yesterday, it felt like I was looking at the world with brand new baby newborn eyeballs. That's what it felt like. And so I'm not on my phone. I can't even think about my phone. And so I'm looking at everybody's face, and I'm watching this woman, and then all of a sudden this woman, she just starts preaching. Oh, sorry. I got a new phone thing. It's messed up. Anyway, she just starts preaching. I mean, and with a shaky voice, and like she's like so timid, so scared, but she's doing it. It was like the most brave thing I've ever seen. And she's like preaching the gospel, like the most beautiful gospel I've ever heard in my life, and like telling these people, how much Jesus loves them, and that he's the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. And then she would start singing, and I'm the only one on the whole train that's like, amen, yes. Like, I'm so excited because I knew, like, that woman, I mean, I've been in New York for a year, I ain't seen nothing like it, and I knew she got on my train that morning, for a reason. And it was like, we just kept connecting because, obviously we're the only people on this train that love Jesus. But then that's the other epiphany that I had was, me and this lady are on a train full of people going straight to hell. Like, these people are so lost. And I start looking at all their faces, and they're all broken and sad and depressed. And me and her just filled with joy and like smiling and full of God's love. And I got so sad for these people. And then she preached, and I just encouraged her. But like, I was just watching in amazement. Really, I was just taking it in because it was the most brave, beautiful thing I had probably ever seen in my entire life. That this one little lady had the courage, super tiny little skinny lady, shaky voice, to get on the train and just preach the most beautiful message. And I knew all of heaven was watching her, and I was watching her, and I was just like, wow, that's beautiful. And these faces are set like flint that she's preaching to. These are hard faces. These are, broken faces, but unrepentant, unloving faces, and she just had the courage to keep preaching to them. And so I was just watching, and then she preaches for like 3 or 4 stops, and then she pops off like as quick as she got on, and she looked at me right before she got off, and she's like, "You stay with God." And I was like, "Yes, ma'am," But so it was like that, and then I just went through my day, and it was just like beautiful, and I had all these. I went to my doctor's appointment, and there was just this lady there, and this old lady, like she was in her 80s, and she was sitting next to me. We were at the eye doctor, and I had to get like my final measurements for my surgery or whatever. And so we had to wait in the hallway for a while, and so she had a walker, and I kept looking at her walker, and I'm thinking, how does this woman get around New York City at 80 years old with that thing? It must be so hard, because it's hard for me to just walk through the streets, when they're crowded, and it must be really scary. So I was just like, ma'am, can I ask you a question? And she's like, sure. And her face lit up, and as soon as I started asking her about her life, she talked and talked and talked and told me about her cats, and pulled out her phone and showed me a million pictures of her cats. And she turned out to be like this like artist from Greenwich Village. And very cool lady, and she makes these beautiful tapestries, and she'll show me all of her artwork, and like I gave her my number, and I was like, let's have coffee one day because I just want to hear her stories, and we just had the best conversation. It was like the whole day I was just like seeing the city with new eyeballs too, because I had been struggling so much in my own welfare, my own struggle for so long, just trying to get through my own thing, because how it's so hard to focus on other people when you're hurting so bad. And I knew I wasn't hurting yesterday. I was just like, I was raw. I was full of emotion still, but I knew everything was going to be okay, and better than okay. And anyway, it was just the most beautiful day. And and last night I got back and I was wore out because I had to walk all over Manhattan to get to my appointments yesterday and do all my stuff and train back and schlump my way back, So I was wore out by the time, and I hadn't slept in a week, right? So I get back and I just want to, it was like early, it was like 5 o'clock, and I'm like, I want to go to sleep right now. Like, I have to go to sleep. And last night it was so crazy because I put on my Spotify music, right, in my playlist, or whatever, and my goal is to like just cry this thing the rest of the way out. So I'm like, put on some sad music and just cry this thing out. And I think one song came on, and then the next song it automatically switched to an old playlist I had from like years ago that I used to listen to, and it was a worship playlist. And I know I did not switch the channel. I didn't even touch my phone, but I heard it come on, and I was like, oh, I remember this song. And all of a sudden it was like I was just in my car with Jesus last night. It was like I had finally removed the thing from my heart, and he was like, I'm coming back in there. That's my house. I'm like, that's where I live. And I had the most beautiful night with Jesus that I've had in years. And I couldn't before. There was just something blocking, obviously. And so oh, he just like showered me with love, and I felt like I was in a little cocoon with Jesus last night, and I just went right to sleep, and I woke up this morning and I felt so good. And yeah, and it's just like you told me a couple weeks ago, you just have to sit in the pain and feel it and embrace it, and that's the only way to heal from it, And it was like those wounds that are open, they can't, it's like a wound that you get on your skin, if it won't close up and heal unless it's treated the right way. There's a proper way to treat a wound, and if you keep it covered in the darkness with the bandage on it, it will literally rot. And so you have to pull the bandage off at some point and let it air out and let it heal. And so I had kept my wounds so hidden and so covered for so long that my heart was rotting. And like, Jesus is like, he was not going to leave me in that pain for long. Like, I know the first night was terrible because I thought I was like, where are you? But last night it was like, no, he's right here. He's right here. And the whole day he was just showing me that. There was so many other things that happened too, but yeah, man, I just knew everything's gonna be okay. And so better than okay. And like the whole city just looked magical to me yesterday. It was like, oh man, it just had a different, like, everything looked different to me. The whole world looks different to me right now. And so I just love that. And I know for sure that this is the breakthrough that I've been praying for that God promised me over 10 years ago. 10 years I have been contending for this breakthrough today. And so I just want to encourage somebody. It might take a while, but you might even forget what you're even waiting for, but God has not forgotten. He has not forgotten. And it just seemed so hopeless by the time he came through that, like, I didn't think I would ever be whole again. And God's like, no, I'm not done working, And so yeah, I'm still just like going through it though. Like, there's still these highs and lows and changes happening and stuff, but like, I know for sure, like, he kept that promise to me. And so I know that this is just the beginning. I think that's what's the most exciting part, is like, this is just the beginning. And so anyway, I just want to encourage you today. I love you guys. Talk to you soon. Bye.